Mario Kart Wii. This game sold a lot of copies. 37 million units sold is a very high number for a video game. Other Mario Kart games have sold well too, but this one beat out all the others by a significant margin. This won't factor into my review of the game, but I did want to point it out. The big sales figures were probably due to this being a sought-after installment of a very popular franchise for a very popular system, and lots of people didn't hesitate to buy it. Mario Kart Wii is gorgeous. In my opinion, the Wii was the era where Nintendo was really starting to figure out their own unique and incredibly appealing visual styles for 3D games, and we see a great example of that here with wonderful texturing and color design. This is a glorious visual experience at 60 frames per second. The game runs at 480p and honestly looks just fine upscaled onto a 1080p monitor. One major upside of this game is the large selection of characters and karts. There's quite a bit of stuff to unlock, and the extra karts you can pick from are really charming and feel very different from each other. This was the installment in the franchise that introduced two-wheeled vehicles to the series, and it's one of my favorite improvements to Mario Kart ever. Motorcycles, dirt bikes, scooters, they fit so perfectly into the Mario Kart universe, and they're extremely fun to use. What an incredibly smart idea. Mario Kart Wii supports 4 different controller types: Wiimote with nunchuck attachment, Wiimote with the classic controller attachment, GameCube controller, and the Wiimote with the racing wheel accessory. For this review, I want to focus primarily on the racing wheel because I feel it's the most interesting one to talk about, and I want to have a lot of experience with the wheel so I can compare how it works in this game to how it works in Mario Kart 8, which I'll be reviewing later in this video series. Basically, you drop your Wiimote into this big plastic wheel and you're ready to go. You hold the racing wheel and tilt it left and right to turn. One big issue with this controller is that there's no option to change the size of the dead zone on the wheel. A dead zone is a term used for analog joysticks that's pretty much what it sounds like. It's an area of movement where nothing registers as input to the game. The default dead zone of the racing wheel is incredibly small. Even a slight tilt on the racing wheel will turn your kart on the screen. Because of this, the player is required to be very vigilant about the position of the wheel in order to drive straight, and there's going to be a lot of unintentional swerving left and right. Since this is a free-floating wheel that uses motion sensing inside of the Wiimote to work, you don't exactly have a concrete frame of reference for where the neutral position of the wheel is, other than trying to develop a muscle memory for it, which I was able to do with practice. So is the racing wheel a dud? Not entirely, there are some positives. I like how you can press the D-pad up or down to launch items forward or backwards. It's a nice feature. A big part of this game is flicking the Wiimote up, down, left, or right shortly before you go off the ramp to do a trick and get a big speed boost. You can do this with the other control options, but they require the D-pad to perform instead, which means to play this game you have to constantly lift your thumb off of the joystick to hit a button on the D-pad, which feels awful. You also need to press up on the D-pad to perform a wheelie maneuver, which gives you a boost when you're riding on a two-wheeler. It does not feel good to give up control of your steering in a racing game, even for less than a second. You can do tricks with the Wiimote and the nunchuck option, but this requires you to flick the Wiimote around, which a lot of people hate about Wii games in general. I've been having a lot of problems with my wrists lately, and I really dislike jerking around the Wii remote just to get a speed boost. Jerking around the racing wheel in 4 different directions to do tricks isn't great either, but I hate that the least of all the other alternatives. The tricks have really fun animations, but they are a pretty big flaw of Mario Kart Wii. They're definitely mandatory because of how significant the speed boost is, and some tracks have a lot of ramps. The player on the track landing tricks on every jump is going to have an advantage. People who have played future installments of Mario Kart know that this was fixed in all the later Mario Kart games because it's a bad game mechanic. It's not fun to jerk your controller around, and it's not fun to constantly lift your thumb off the joystick to hit the D-pad. I think most players are probably going to pass on the racing wheel just because you don't get the precision that you get with the other options. The Wii controllers almost universally have great control sticks, and it's hard for a motion control option to compete with them. I spent a lot of time playing with the racing wheels because it's one of the features that defined Mario Kart Wii when it came out, and it was a major selling point, but that's not the optimal choice to play the game seriously. That all being said, I personally find the racing wheel fun to use. It's optional and it doesn't ruin the game. Like Mario Kart DS, the Wii installment had online play. Also, like Mario Kart DS, the servers are no longer functioning, which is a bummer. Servers for online games cost money to keep running, and if barely anybody's using them, a business like Nintendo becomes obligated to shut them down. This is a really sad fact, and a huge obstacle for those who care about game preservation. There is an unofficial mod for Mario Kart Wii that lets you play with others on a privately hosted server, but you have to mod your Wii to get it to work. It was hard to set up, and you can break your Wii if you screw it up, but it does work surprisingly well. I didn't play much of it because I didn't want an unofficial mod influencing my opinion of the game for this review. So I've decided I'm going to continue this video series and review every Mario Kart game, hopefully, and as I go I'll compare each new game with the ones I've already played. So at this point I only have Super Circuit to compare Mario Kart Wii to. I have to report that there was a pretty noticeable drop in the amount of fun I was having with Mario Kart Wii compared to Super Circuit. After playing a whole lot of Mario Kart Wii, I slowly started to realize why this was the case. My big problem with this game is the items. The items make everything frustrating. Mario Kart games are supposed to have an element of chance to them, but Mario Kart Wii pushes the concept a bit too far. You get bombarded with items constantly in this game. I'm not going to go point by point on every item in this game, but I'll pick the ones that I dislike the most. The POW block affects everyone ahead of the racer who's used it. Those racers get a POW block icon above their head, and they're required to either shake their Wii remote around or press the D-pad in a direction at the right moment to avoid losing speed. Two things that I've already explained I don't like doing. Even if you time everything correctly, you'll still spin out and lose control of your cart and lose your current item. This wouldn't be so bad if the POW block didn't go off so frequently. Combine this with other global items constantly going off like thunder, and items start to feel a bit excessive in Mario Kart Wii. And then there's the blue shell. I'm not going to make the claim that the blue shell is worse in this game than any of the other Mario Kart games, because I still need to replay the rest of them, but I can safely say that the blue shell in Mario Kart Wii is absolutely out of control. I would say that getting hit by a blue shell more than once in a race should be a rare occurrence in a Mario Kart game. In Mario Kart Wii, you can get hit by the blue shell multiple times in a single lap. There are ways to defend against the blue shell, like a perfectly timed mushroom boost or an item that makes you invincible, but you're not going to be able to do this consistently because you have to get lucky and have the right items at the right time. Now, in multiplayer and in versus CPU mode, you can change the items, but there's reasons why I don't think this helps. First off, you have to play the Grand Prix mode to unlock the majority of the content, and some of the unlock requirements are pretty steep. In several cases, you're required to get first place in every race, and your chances of getting screwed over by the randomness of the items is extremely high. You can't change the item rules for the campaign, so you're going to be forced to contend with the default item rules no matter what. And I don't just play Mario Kart games for multiplayer, I want a good single-player experience as well. It's really frustrating to feel like chance plays too big of a factor in whether you succeed or fail in a circuit. It also doesn't feel satisfying to win either, because it's not particularly rewarding to win a race because I activated a bullet bill and had it autopilot me to the front of the pack. Second, I don't think the additional item modes are the solution to the problem. There's an option available that attempts to address complaints like mine called strategic items, but I feel like it tones down the items way too much. It's a mode that basically makes just about every item you get a mushroom, green shell, or banana. Strategic items don't ruin the game, but it goes too far in the other direction to remedy the item balance. It definitely feels bland when you remember how well the item balance works in so many other Mario Kart games. I don't want powerful items to be turned off completely, I just want them to be reasonable. Mario Kart Wii has a very good time trial mode, with challenging ghosts to race against, which offers a break from the item chaos. This is where you can see how solid the basic racing mechanics of Mario Kart Wii actually are. Players who are into time attack gameplay will probably find Mario Kart Wii rewarding. I really enjoyed playing Super Circuit a lot. I got a very good buzz off it, and I felt like I deserved to lose when I lost, and I felt a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction when I won. Just comparing these two games against each other for now, I feel like the item balance in Super Circuit is far better than Mario Kart Wii, even though Mario Kart Wii has way better graphics, kart, and track design. Super Circuit has big upsets due to powerful items, but they don't completely dominate every aspect of the gameplay. I'm not ranking these games yet, so where Super Circuit and Mario Kart Wii end up on my final list is still up in the air. If you think I'm wrong about either of these games, I'll read your comments and take your thoughts on board before I officially rank them. And even when I do, keep in mind, it's just my opinion. I believe the battle modes in these games are different enough from the racing to almost be considered separate games, so I'm going to talk about battle modes in a later video. Mario Kart Wii is a great game that suffers from some control issues and poor item balance. All the problems that I have with it have been fixed in subsequent installments, and I think Mario Kart Wii would be a phenomenal game if it was re-released with some key fixes. All Mario Kart games are good, and Mario Kart Wii is still a good game, but if I'm going to be ranking every game in the series, there has to be a bottom of the list and a top of the list. I can't say whether Mario Kart Wii is the weakest Mario Kart in the series yet, but I think it's safe to say at this point that it's probably not the best Mario Kart game.